Maybe the world is blind, do 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 do, or just a little unkind. Okay, major points to anybody that can guess that theme song. If anybody can guess that theme song I just sang, you're gonna win major points. Maybe the world is blind, do 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 do, or just a little unkind. This is completely unrelated to Miss Olivia. Hi guys! Welcome to Alicyn's Wonderland, the show that takes you down the rabbit hole and through the looking glass into the wild and wacky world of animation. And I'm so glad you guys all jumped back on. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate that. And let's see, let's give Olivia another second. So our guest today is Olivia Hack. And Olivia is a voice actress and on-camera actress. She's been in the business pretty much her entire life. So that's amazing. And I'm so excited to have her on the show and just have a chat about the changes that she's seen in the industry over the years, some of her favorite roles, and what it's like being back out at conventions these days. So let's see, let's see if it works this time.
Yeah! Did we do it? We did it.
We did it.
It's all happening.
Hi.
Okay,
Oh my God, I love your fabulous backdrop.
Oh my God. I was like trying to type on this thing on a tripod and it was just like, it was like a 60. Shoot. Is that working? It's all working. Okay. Yay. Hi.
Yes. Yes. Hi, how are you?
Right. Hi. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Another amazing hair day.
I was going to say, I love the pink.
Thank you.
It's really good. It's really good.
Are we something to switch it up?
You said we were having cocktails. Are we having cocktails?
I got a cocktail.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. Because I bought one of those. You know how they make like the mini bottles of champagne?
Yeah.
I'm going to do like a mini bottle of champagne. And I'm going to Italy next week. And I was like telling me, I'm not going to drink till I go to Italy. And then I was like, well, Alison Packard wants to drink. So we should have some champagne. So we're going to do it. We're gonna do it.
Oh my gosh. I wish I was drinking champagne though, now that I think about it.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, baby. Let's get this party started.
Let's get this party started. It's Wednesday, so we might as well, right?
Happy hump day.
Yeah, you too. It's going. Like I did a con last weekend in where was that? Altoona, Pennsylvania. And so it's still a little like it's one of those things where you're there 4 nights and you kind of adjust, but you don't really, and you're also on like that con schedule, and so I'm here. I'm living the dream in Burbank, California.
Living your best life.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
Cheers. Dink. So being back at a con, I mean, this is your second or third since the pandemic or something?
Yeah, I think third. Yeah, I mean, I love it. Like actors are messaging me all the time right now and they're like, what do you think? And like, I don't know, I'm vaccinated. I don't know. I just really like doing cons. Like cons are kind of one of my favorite things to do, which is why I'm always trying to do more anime because that's all anybody cares about anymore. Even though it doesn't pay you anything, I like doing cons. But yeah, so I mean, it's been great. And like the vibe is good there because for most people, most towns you go to, it's their first con in like 2 years, And so people are stoked, they're happy to be there. And cons are already, for me, like, it's the best energy because like, I think a lot of it is like especially for whatever reason, animation, like, there's a lot of people that feel a little like disenfranchised or they're on the spectrum or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so for a lot of people, you're meeting them on their best day, mm-hmm. And for some people, that's the best day of their whole year, and they're so happy to be there and they're feeling like they have a community and everything. So the energy is always so good. And like, mm-hmm. I always end up crying and everything because people are so sweet. And so, yeah, so I'm happy to be back in it,
Oh, somebody just tuned in. They said you were so nice. I was close to tears with how kind you are. Oh, it is also nice to kind of be able to just bring that kindness, and that sensibility to others, and what a gift, you know, to know that you
Yeah.
made someone's day.
Yeah, and it is a gift. It's a privilege, you know, and people come up and you know, I didn't write the show. I don't have anything to do with it really. I went in one day for a couple hours and did my job years
Yeah.
ago. And so it really is like a privilege that people even associate you with that stuff and come up and tell you how much things meant to you or it got them through a hard time or whatever. And also too, like I really try, like I've seen some, I always say I'm not a celebrity, but I'm a celebrity in the right room. But like I've seen some celebrities like, you know, and they just do the signing thing and like this, and it like angers me because
They're
you
like
know,
peace after, they're just like,
yeah, and like I just feel like you owe people like people are spending their money on you, right?
yeah.
And also, but beyond that, like, you know, someone comes up and they really like for a lot of people it's overwhelming. I mean, a lot of people come up and they're crying or they're shaking or whatever because it is an overwhelming experience and like, you know, it really like yes, it's a lot of energy and like at the end of one of those days I'm spent, like I'm done, but that's cuz I am giving like 200% to everybody and like you owe that to people. I don't know. Like this is a gift. This is such a gift. So I just treat it like that, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
You have a big heart, and it's nice to be able to put it to use, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And people, I mean, they're really like they're so genuine. They're so genuine and they're so heartfelt. And like I don't experience a lot of that in my life, you know, with strangers and whatever. And people want to share their stories and whatnot. And yeah, I don't know. It's just very sweet. It's very endearing to me. So what?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you know, do you find that the crowds are the same size as they were pre-pandemic, or?
Well, see, it's hard because like every show I do is a first show that I've done, right? So what I've been hearing is, oh, it's not as big as last year from people, but
Yeah.
I don't have anything to base that on. But yeah, I've been hearing that there's smaller crowds. But to me, I don't know. It's all good. It's all great.
Like, "Ew, still
Yeah,
on
I don't know.
people." How can people book you if they want to get you at their local con?
Well, I always say like the best thing for people to, well, for promoters, like all my handles and all that stuff, or they're on Twitter, like you can find me. It's Novaria Management and Celebworks and a bunch of others. Honestly, like I always tell voice actors to not be exclusive with, I probably have like 10 con agents because you don't have to be exclusive. So why would you be? Because, you know, whatever. But I always say for fans, like the best thing they can do is like pretty much every con. What?
I was like that you're going to say tweet them like every day.
Oh no, I said, yeah, that too. No, but pretty much every con website has like a request page of like who you want there. And honestly, like the best thing, because people always go, "How do we get you at our local con?" And I'm like, write them, and tell them who you want to see. You know, so I don't know. I don't know if that works, but that's what they tell us to do. So,
What do you find that most of the people that come visit you at cons are fans of? Everything?
so depends. So this last con was like a general Comic-Con, right? Yeah. So on that one, because I was there with 2 other actors from Avatar, I signed Avatar stuff. I signed some Brady Bunch stuff randomly, which is random, and some Hey Arnold stuff, maybe a little Clone Wars or something. But like the one I did before was strictly an anime show. So I was signing Avatar stuff, but then other anime things and stuff from Persona 5, this video game I did, whatever. So it really depends on the show. Like if it's an anime show, which is so interesting, like if we want to talk about anime for a second.
Yeah, let's do it.
Anime. It's like anime so like it's such a different world. And it's interesting because I was on a panel with some anime actors at this last con, and they were saying, you know, which is very true, like even 5 years ago, I felt like you didn't tell people you did anime. Your agent didn't submit you on anime. It was this like dirty little secret and nobody wanted to touch it. And it was like, I always equated to like, I sound like a jerk saying this, but like anime actors are kind of like soap actors. You know how there's like that weird divide?
There's a stigma that it's sort of...
Well, they're just different. Like there's celebrities in that world. Like I'll go to a con and there'll be an anime actor with like a line around the block. And all of us are standing there with our SAG cards going, who is this person we've never heard of? But they're a huge, huge star in the anime world, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's such a crossover now. And I think a big part of that was Crunchyroll, which is the big anime station, is now on HBO, you know? And it's just like what kids are watching. Like my friends' kids are all watching anime, which was never the case, even just a few years ago. And so it's really jumped over into the mainstream now.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. But again, like Alicyn, like it's so weird. Like, I mean, I'll just kind of sit here and talk a little shit. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. But like, and I don't mean it in like a negative way, but I was sitting at this anime convention and the moderator was all right. And so I started asking these anime actors questions. And I was like, so how'd you get your start? How long have you been doing this, right? And there were 3 anime actors. And none of them had been doing it longer than 4 years. And every single one of them had auditioned at Anime Expo in LA.
Yeah.
Gotten, you know, upsold a Bang Zoom class. And then, you know, for every 100 people that take that Bang Zoom workshop, somebody gets a job. But all these people happen to get jobs that happen to be on popular animes and had been in the business 3 years and are sitting, again, I sound like an egomaniac, but like I've been doing this 35 years, you know, and we're all sitting on the same stage. And I'm like, I feel like I'm doing it all wrong. Like I obviously need to take a Bang Zoom workshop and do that. Like, it's just weird. Anime is such a weird world. I don't know. It's very strange.
But I mean, with your credit as an avatar and your length of credits, if you are auditioning regularly for anime,
you would think.
You'd be booking.
You would think. But I feel like with that world, like all those people, a lot of it's done out of Texas, right? Through Funimation. And then a lot of those people also like are casting directors. So a lot of anime actors are also casting directors and voice directors. And then they all end up casting either themselves or each other. I don't know. It's a weird world. It's a weird world. Anyway, but I love to do more anime.
I think you know, when I grew up, you know, I don't think I heard about anime until I was late high school. And then it was like bootleg VHS.
Oh,
was, you know, it was like, you never knew what you were going to get.
Yeah.
And now, I got my hair done this week and the woman was saying, oh, my daughter really loves anime and she loves going to conventions. And it seems just like I meet, you know, kids on the playground and they're like, I love My Hero Academia. But isn't it a bit of like a gamble? I mean, not a gamble because the work is the work, but there's so much content of anime coming out right now.
No idea what's going to be successful. No, you have no clue. So unless you know that it's like, and even then, but unless you know that it's like the #1 show in Japan, you know, maybe that's kind of like a guarantee. But otherwise, there's so much content. You're like, I hope this one's going to be a hit. I have no idea. It's a total gamble. And I mean, the weird thing is like, you know, for fans who don't know this, like, you know, it's $75 an hour, right? But it's twice as much work, right? Because you're matching, you know, to explain, talk
dubbing.
Thank you. Like, like you're matching to lip flaps and all that stuff, right? You're reading time code. So sorry, my brain's like half working today. So it's twice as much work for like a third of the pay, you know, and there's no residuals and you don't know if it'll be successful and all that stuff. But again, the cons, this is what I'm here for.
And, you know, there's definitely some union anime stuff that's coming out on Netflix and the whole industry is really, really changing. But it's been amazing to interview some anime stars on here and see the amount of people that jump on the stream that, you know, it's crazy.
It's so different.
Amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Powerful. It's powerful stuff.
It's something.
It's something. And so, you know, when with the cons and everything, like, are you also, do you hang out? Are you going to like the karaoke nights and all that, or?
So it depends, right? So like the last one, there was like a karaoke night and like I I always feel like you're supposed to like put in an appearance at that stuff. And so all the actors went after.
Nice.
Again, the best part of like, I sound like an alcoholic. I'm not, but like when you're in Altoona, Pennsylvania, we went to the Red Lobster, which I'd never been to. With all
Oh my God.
the thing about cons, so I like meeting fans, but I also like hanging out with all the other actors because it's such a random grab bag of like, oh, okay, I used to watch you on TV and now we're like hanging out. But a Hendrix Martini is $8 at the Red Lobster in
Hey.
Yes. So after a few of those, we were like, well, let's go to the karaoke night, you know. But yeah, no, I always feel like you should make an appearance at those things, right? Because it's just like polite, like you're someone's guest and whatever. I did sing some Billy Joel.
But did you eat shrimp?
What did you say?
Did you have any shrimp?
I did. In fact, that's all I had because I was also very hard to like, it was impossible to eat healthy in Altoona, Pennsylvania. And I was like, there's some grilled shrimp here and there's some broccoli. So I'm going to be all about that. Cause no, otherwise I had ribs 3 days in a row. So it was like a lot. It was a lot. Yeah. So I'm on,
like
I'm
when,
on
when
my
the stomach, like when there's room. Sorry.
Yes. No. And I ate like biscuits and gravy at the Cracker. I mean, it was out of control. So I was just, yeah.
I loved watching your IG stories and like how you guys got rerouted to the wrong airport.
Dude.
You want to tell us that story?
I mean, it's not that interesting, but like basically, like we were flying, and they were like, we're just gonna keep circling for bad weather. Then we ran out of gas, so they had to fly us to another airport, landed us, and they were like, hang out on the plane for like an hour. They're like, we don't know, we're waiting for the weather to clear up. Maybe we'll refuel, maybe we won't. And then they were like, the weather's trash. So we're going to let you all out of here at like midnight in this other airport 3 hours away. So one of the other actors was able to find like some transpo guy on Google or something. And he picked us up and drove us, but we got in at like 3 a.m. It was trash.
Gosh.
Yeah, so it was like me, some chick from The Mandalorian, some Avatar actors. Who else? Oh, and Jim Cummings, Winnie the Pooh.
Oh.
Yeah, so we were just, but that's what I like. It's like those road stories where you're just like, well, we're just all bandmates now, and we're in a rock band, and this is it, and this is what you do. So, but we had a great time. It was a great time. Sci-Fi Valley.
Make a movie about that.
Oh my God.
Trains, planes, and automobiles.
Uh-huh.
So, I heard that your very first commercial, you were 8 months old. Is that true?
That's right. That's correct.
What was the commercial for?
Minolta camera. I think I actually got cut out of it. Yeah. And then I just did a ton of, which is mostly like when you're a kid actor, that's kind of how you start, is doing commercials. And so, yeah, I just did a ton of commercials.
Do you think that having your parents in the business helped influence you getting a start so early?
I mean, yeah, like I really like it's funny you say 8. Yeah, I probably did a commercial at 8 months old. I don't think I got like a full SAG card till I was like 3 or 4. But like, I know, yeah, I'm really old. Really? Yeah, I mean, I also like had a personality for it. Like, there's a lot of people, like people my whole life will be like, I want to put my kid in the business, and it's like, cool. Like, can your kid like go to total strangers? Do they have a personality? Like, are they like, there's so many other facets to it other than like, my kid is cute. Yeah. Like you really have to be, have kind of, which I hate that word, but kind of like a precocious personality. Like it's a lot more than just, oh, my kid's cute. Yeah. Like there's a lot of, cause I do a little, coaching of child actors on the side, and a lot of that is just you can be like cute as the day is long, but if you don't have it, you don't have it. And there's like 50 other kids that do, Yeah. So I think it's like more competitive than people think, especially as you get older, because like in the beginning you're just kind of a prop, right? Like it's like a kid, a dog, and like a couple, right? Yeah. But then like at a certain point, like, oh hi, Mike Carr. But like, do you know Mikey Carr? He used to work at CESC. Of course. Yeah. But then like eventually, you're going to actually be asked to act. And that's kind of when it becomes tricky for some kids.
Right. And I mean, not all kids want that either.
No, and
Oh,
that's, I mean,
really want. Yeah.
totally. And I think like when you're asking about parents, like I saw a lot of like really psycho stage moms, as one does, you know? And so I had a really good mom who was always like there and on set and like understood, you know, that it's a job and taught
And
me
she needs
really,
to be a buffer kind of in between you and
you have to be, because like people will take as much as they can get. Like they'll overwork you, they'll like, you know, just do weird stuff and whatever. And like, so she was always very like protective in a good way. And then of course, like, you know, I wasn't supporting my family, but you certainly see that as well. And like kids, yeah, who don't want to be there, and not even kids who are supporting their family, but just kids who don't want to be there. And, you know, they're living their parents' dream for sure. So that's definitely happens. But yeah, so I always like, I very much lucked out in the stage parent department.
yeah.
That term. Yeah, for sure.
Well, they say it takes a couple generations to really make a career in Hollywood. And you do kind of see that, you know, even in voice acting, the people that got their start really early, you know, were able to make more connections early and get known early and segue into a lengthy career, whereas somebody that's just getting started and trying to figure out how the business works, you know, can take longer.
Yeah, but and yet sometimes I feel like I'm a total dinosaur, because like even though I'm in my 30s and like relatively young, like there's a lot of stuff where I just am like, I come from such a different school. And you know, I'm always trying to like stay with it, but like, yeah, there is a part of me that I'm certainly not as like up to date as other. Our friend Stephanie is writing, how do I tune in? I don't know, Stephanie, come on, you know how to use the internet. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely a part of me that's like always feels like I'm a little out of touch a bit. I don't know. And now like okay, for example, first off, actors hate when I say this, like especially at one of my last cons.
We're gonna get something good, folks.
Well, no, it's not even good. It's just about that I'm an old lady. But like they were talking about like gear, and I was like, I record everything on like a $30 microphone, and they like die. You could watch their souls leave their bodies, because they were talking about like their, you know, Newmans and like their $1,000 setups and whatever. And I was like, I don't know. And so, and the recording from home thing now, right? So like,
yeah,
everyone records from home, and like I have a friend with a recording studio at his house who's like a music producer, and so I go over there when I book stuff. Like I don't even know, I'm not tech, so yeah. Just that alone, and you have to know so much now, like, and I know it's like everyone's like it's so easy, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm not like,
I mean, yeah, George Whittam got me set up and definitely like can lead you through it if that's what you need, but it sounds like that might not be something that you need.
I'm a terrible person, Alicyn. I just rely on the kindness.
You're definitely not.
It's really it.
Just rely on those good looks, girly.
That's it.
For me.
It's so terrible, but it's true.
You know,
sometimes, I mean, they will rent you a studio. Like I was living in Vegas at the beginning of the year because I'm out of my mind. And I had booked something, and I was just like, can you book me a studio? And they did, you know, or I think even, actually I booked one and then they reimbursed me. But like, there are ways around it, you know, maybe if you're not working every single day, but I'm not working every single day. So I just kind of, I call in favors because I'm ill prepared.
You're doing just fine. I love it.
What else? What else are we doing?
Well, I mean, let me look at my notes here. Stephanie, I wonder if she made it on yet. So yeah, I was curious also because your dad's a director.
Mm-hmm.
And so Michael Hack is your dad. Can you talk a little bit about like the projects you guys worked on? Final Fantasy together. You've worked on a couple different things with your dad.
We worked on Final Fantasy together. did we work on? And then I'm not sure about, maybe we did on that one. We worked on a show called Astro Boy together. We worked on Care Bears together. It's so funny though, because like it always I mean, we've worked on maybe like 3 or 4 things together, but it always sounds like nepotism. And like, and I'm the same way. Like when I see someone, well, especially the people where like they came out of nowhere and you're like, and now you have like, okay, Jaden Smith or whatever, like, all right, like we get it, you know, like we understand why this is happening for you. But I always feel like I very much came at it on my own, you know, for sure. And then my dad actually did cast me in this one show that nobody's ever seen. It was called Kids from Room 402. And we did a couple seasons of it, but everybody who was on that show was just like one of those shows that was a nightmare to work on. And it was the only, and he quit. He quit after like 3 episodes because he was like, this is garbage, I'm leaving, and left me there with all the rest of the cast. And it's the only show I've ever worked on where all the cast, I remember us, Fox Family, yeah, somebody watched it. All right. We were all in the bathroom at one, Mindy Cohen was in it. And I think Tara was on it too. Like people, it was a good cast. But I remember us all in the bathroom at one point being like, do we quit? Are we going to quit? We should quit. Are we going to quit this show? Yes. Because it was just like, they were just, it was so, sometimes there's shows that you do. So for people who, you know, I assume most of these people don't work in voiceover that are watching, but like the worst thing that can happen to an actor. So like typically pre-COVID, like you're in a booth, right? And you can't hear what the other people on the other side of the booth are saying, which is the director, the writers, the producers, whatever. The worst thing that can happen to you is you do a take and the voice director pushes the button and they go, yeah, that's so great, that's so great. Hang on. And then they turn around. And they turn around and they start talking to the writers and everything. And then they're gone for like 10 minutes. And then they turn back around and they're like, yeah, so can you do it? Anyway, that happened on every single line on that show. And we all just about lost our minds. But the question was, have I worked with my dad? And yes, but he abandoned me on Room
He
4.
abandoned you. Well, yeah, because you already had a thriving career by the time you got into voiceover. Was Avatar your very first voiceover job?
Or? Oh God, no, I didn't do Avatar till I was probably like 21, 22 when I was doing that show.
Oh, so you did do VO before that?
Oh yeah. So when I think the first like real voiceover job I did was like back in the day when you would buy like a toy, they would have, remember like the VHS tapes that just were just basically like a 30-minute long commercial for the toy that like came with a toy. Remember those?
Oh.
Like, you know, sometimes. So this was like a doll called PJ Sparkles. And like there was a video, like a VHS cartoon that came with it. And I was like one of those, but like Hey Arnold was really like the first animated series that I did. And I think I started doing that when I was I just turned 11, 12. But what was cool about that, like people always say like, oh, what's your favorite show you worked on? And they want me to say Avatar because it's so popular right now. Which is also hilarious because it's 15 years old. But really like the show for me that's my personal favorite is Hey Arnold. And that's because like people always go, oh, it's my childhood. And I'm like, well, it's my childhood too. Because we did that all as kids. Yeah. And so now I feel like it's very common to have all kid casts. But back then it was rare, you know, because school and all that stuff. And even, I mean, like we had like four Arnolds because there's like a really like, I don't do boy voices, but there's like a really texture that comes out with boys around like 10, 11, 12, you know, and they're right there and then their voice changes. And so they'd get these Arnolds because they like this texture and whatever. And then their voice would change and they'd cast another one. Why did Room 402 get canceled? I don't know. I don't know why anything happens.
I mean, how traumatic must that be for those poor kids too?
Oh, to get canned.
To get canned. Oof.
Yeah,
Right at puberty, right when you're like all the hormones are pulsing through your body.
Right? Like Craig was really nice in that he would bring them back occasionally for like guest stars. They would always like play bullies, like bigger, older grade bullies. But it was super cool because we did that show for a long time, like longer than most cartoon shows run. And yeah, so it's like it's very cool. So you kind of grow up with these kids, and then it's like that's your after school activity every Thursday or whatever. So it's special, and also too, like that show is very special. Like people will go on and on about Avatar, and Avatar is wonderful for its own merits. But there's something about Hey Arnold that was very ahead of its time. Like it was multicultural, but beyond that, like I look back and it's like we did like a Vietnam War Christmas episode, and I'm like, how the hell did they get away with that? Like Craig was really ahead of his time for a lot of reasons. But yeah, that show just has a lot of heart, and also when you look back and watch it as an adult, you're like, oh, like Helga's mom's an alcoholic, and like oh, and Arnold like gets mugged, and like one of the kids at school is poor and pretending to not be poor, like very like realistic themes, and like a lot of animation these days, not all of it, but a lot of it is very like ADD and kind of like in your face and whatever. And I feel like that show really like kind of took its time with like pacing and moments and stuff. So anyway, I just love Hey Arnold. Sorry, I'm just wax poetic about Hey Arnold. Yeah, and Mr. Sim, the teacher's gay. Exactly. Like stuff that you're like, oh, they really got away with this stuff in the 90s, I don't know.
Yeah, they were breaking new ground.
Yeah, so I don't know. So it's just a cool show.
Yeah.
And sonically it sounds cool just because it is all kids.
Yeah, and so you also mentioned that Avatar has become wildly popular since it's been on Netflix, and many consider it one of the best animated series of all time. I'm curious, has there been any talks of like how has that changed your life now?
It's weird. Like, so, before social media, you do a show and you're like, I guess people watched it. We keep doing more seasons of this. I guess people like it, and Avatar was created by these two guys named Mike and Brian, and they conceived it as 3 seasons. And it was like, well, we're doing 3 seasons. We're only doing 3 seasons. This is it. And so I didn't really know it was popular because I came in on season 2. So I did season 2 and 3, and then it ended, and I kind of never thought about it again, really. And, and so years went by, and I also never watched the show, and I also never read the scripts because it's very confusing. It's its own world, right? It's like Star Wars. So if you come in and you're like Fire Nation, Earth Lord, Water, but I don't know what any of this means. So I did what a lot of actors do, which is you go like bullshit, my line, bullshit, whatever. And then you keep, right? You know what I mean? Don't act like you don't know, Alicyn. Don't act like you don't know. So whatever. And so people are always like, oh, Tylee's so perky. And I'm like, yeah, she's so perky because I didn't know she was a bad guy. I was like, I just saw the character model or whatever, and she was pink and really cute. I had no clue, right? So years later, I'm at my first con ever in Australia. We did like an Australia-New Zealand con, which was amazing. Yeah, those are the best. The Australia cons are the best. But so I'm at this con, and I don't know. I thought they just flew me out there because I was fabulous or something. I don't know what I thought in my brain.
You are fabulous.
Yeah, but And so I'm sitting there with Dante Bosco, who plays like the lead villain on the show. And they put these like stack of pictures in front of me. And I was like, what character is this even? I was like, Dante, like, this is it's all Avatar. And he's like, oh yeah, Olivia, it's like a super popular show, man. I had no clue. And then I watched, yes, honor. And then I watched it, and like she's like riding this like lizard. She's like totally a villain. Like I had no clue because I'm a terrible actor and I don't do the work that I should be doing. So people are always like, I love that she's so against type. And I'm like, yeah, she's against type because I was just like doing a thing. I was just doing a thing. I was just showing up. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
How did you land that role?
It's weird because they must have cast somebody, it's in an anime style, and so it can kind of like, it bridges the gap. So that's why I do anime cons, because like it's considered like an American anime or whatever. But I came in and they must have cast somebody that they didn't like, because like the first 2 episodes I was dubbing it, so I just thought it was like a dub. I thought it was like an anime dub. So yeah, so I don't know. I mean, just like I get every show with a wing and a prayer, and you just randomly book something, right? I don't know.
So lucky. That's amazing.
It's luck. It's all luck. All this stuff is luck. It's all just pure luck. So anytime you book something, any audition, you get a lottery ticket, and then sometimes you win the lotto, you know? And also, too, it's weird. Like, you could do, I have friends that have done 5 times the amount of projects I have, but don't get to go to cons or don't get to, you know, whatever. And it's like, I just happen to luck out and book some things that are popular, but like, you don't know, you know?
Yeah. There's not a lot of people coming to cons like, hey, you were in my favorite preschool show.
Right. But here's the weird thing though. And this is the thing, like Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
If it was out right now, I wouldn't be able to go to a con for that. But because all those people are now 20 and 30, now you have like the nostalgia factor, right? So some of my friends are like, how do I go to cons? And I'm like, well, you don't have the right credits, but in 15 years you might, just because of that particular show and those people aging out or whatever, you know? I know I do sound like sorry, I'm reading a comment. I do sound like Rhonda, and people are always like, do the voice of Rhonda. And I'm like, I'm doing the voice of Rhonda. I'm not, that's it. She's a little more haughty and a little richer and a little more judgmental, but it's my same voice, right? I don't know. But yeah, so it's all luck. It's all luck. I don't know.
Do you think Hey Arnold would ever come? I mean, you guys just did a movie recently.
So yeah, Nickelodeon is so weird, right? Like I was okay, so they did a Hey Arnold movie, an Invader Zim movie, and a Rocko's Modern Life movie, right? Like all at the same time span. And I think that those were basically kind of like supposed to be reboots. And then the Hey Arnold movie did okay, but it didn't do that well because they released it on like Thanksgiving, and it like, they didn't promote it that great. And it's a beautiful movie. Like reboots, whatever. But Hey Arnold ended on a cliffhanger, and it was really well done. Like it had all the same writers, it had the same musicians, it had the same voice actors, and it's beautiful to look at. Like it's actually, and it did kind of need to be made in that it did pick up that cliffhanger and whatever. So I love that movie. Like I'll speak very highly of it. But I think Nickelodeon's so odd because I was thinking the other day, I'm like, what other network because I get residual checks, so I know Hey Arnold's airing all the time. I'm like, what other network is constantly showing all their material from like 25 years ago? It's bizarre. Like I don't quite know like what their deal is. And then also you go to Target or wherever and there's like Hey Arnold shirts everywhere and stuff. And I'm like, I don't quite like, it's odd that they don't want to keep that IP alive. Just like Disney, the reason that they remake all those cartoons and live action movies, right, is they're keeping that intellectual property alive, right, for the next generation. So it's weird that Nickelodeon's all about their Nicktoons, but then doesn't reboot their Nicktoons. I don't quite know what they do over there, but yeah.
Well,
but so I think,
who knows? Maybe something's coming in the pipeline.
I don't know, but it's odd. So whatever.
Yeah. So that was, okay, let's see. So now
I'm very honest, as you know.
That's good. No, I mean, I think it's refreshing. So many people are afraid to say what's really on their mind and just kind of skirt around topics. And it's nice to hear when somebody has a strong opinion. So
I don't think anybody really cares what I have to say. So I just, although I did say we were doing this avatar panel that was like an online panel, and it was kind of like a big deal at the beginning of the year. And they were like, what do you think of the new Avatar series that's coming out? And it's like exactly the cartoon show from my understanding. And I said, oh, well, I think it's a little redundant. And then we just kind of like moved on. And for whatever reason, that poll quote got put like all over the internet of like, Avatar cast thinks the new show is redundant. And I'm like,
oh no,
whatever.
You're like, but if I was in it.
Yeah, but if I was in it, it's the best thing ever. Well, that's the interesting thing. So with Avatar, with that last show or new show, so Mike and Brian, the creators, were not involved in the movie, and everyone hates the movie. It was like directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I've never seen it. People say it's like the worst thing ever. And it's kind of like universally panned. People hate it. And so it was very exciting with this new TV show that they were involved. And then like halfway through, they bounced and quit. So I know it's weird, but then Nickelodeon just announced a couple months ago that now they have a whole new department called Avatar Studios, and they're going to make an animated movie, and they're going to like do all these different projects with Avatar Studios. I think they're basically kind of trying, they realize it's interesting, like when you have a property that is its own universe, like a Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever. And Avatar is very much that, because it exists in its own land and, you know, whatever, has its own tribes and all that sort of thing. And so I think, I am only hypothesizing, I have no idea. But Nickelodeon seems to realize like how rich that is, and how much they can kind of diversify in that. So I'm curious, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. You're not a fan of Avatar. I don't know what to tell you, man. You're the only one.
So now I know we talked a little bit about how the industry is changing with cons, and we're seeing voice actors kind of connecting more with their fan bases online, on Instagram and social media. And I know you've kind of got this new venture doing a lot of stuff for creating content on OnlyFans. How has that been for you? It's
been great, although my account just got suspended, and I think it's because it's okay. Maybe it'll be back tomorrow. I don't know. It's only been suspended like 2 days. Because I put up a picture from a con with like other people, and you're not supposed to, unless you're supposed to tag people. I don't know, whatever. That might not even be the reason that it's suspended. I have no idea. It's been good. I mean, the fun thing is like my girlfriend and I, she's an artist, like a visual artist. And, you know, I like to have a good time. And so like, you will see breasts on OnlyFans. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it or anything. But we just basically get on there and we make our weird little art movies and we make money from it. And it's been great. So it's very fun. And we get to just kind of like be our real selves and interact with fans like in that world. And like, it's fun because what I hear the most is from people is like, oh, this is really different than anything else I see on here. Cause like we like rent sets and, you know, do costumes and all this like crazy stuff. Like, it's not like I think people think OnlyFans and they think like a very specific thing, you know, which is like dirty sex, I guess, or something. But we're on there just like making our weird art stuff and like getting paid for it. And also like, yeah, it's just like it's a good time. Like, we don't take it very seriously. So hopefully I'll get reinstated. I don't know. Also too, like, there was somebody on there who was, I'm not gonna lie, like spending a lot of money and then disappeared. And our thing was like, maybe it was a stolen credit card. So it might be, I don't know why I got suspended. Maybe it was that. I have no idea. But I'm pending investigation. So
I hope it works out for you.
Me too, because we just made this really awesome art film, this really cool movie, and we can't release it now. So.
Well, now that you've kind of created this fan base on there, could you release stuff through your own website? Or
I could. I would need a website. Allison, I'm a terrible actor. Like, I don't have any of the stuff that like,
you do not need to do what everybody else does just because everybody else does it. People just do things to stay busy in the time when they're not working as much, you know, I mean, that's what we all just want to be.
We all want to be working all the time.
and you know, you've grown up in the spotlight in many ways. So it's interesting to see this new venture and how you can put your creativity in a completely different and fully self-expressed way.
Yeah, it is fun because it is totally, like you said, like fully self-expressed, and then it's very like me, and it's a me that I don't necessarily put on Instagram all the time or
Yeah.
whatever. Um, yeah, and I get to do it with my friend. If I wasn't doing it with like one of my girlfriends, but like the fact that we do it together and she shoots it all and like, yeah, it's just fun. It's just a good time. Like,
What's
what's
her
the
name?
name of the OnlyFans? It's just my name, but like, I don't, you might be able to follow it right now. Like, some people are saying they can see it, some people are saying they can't. It's like, it's weirdly, I don't know, it's weirdly suspended, but give it a follow. It's just onlyfans.com/Olivia Hack. It's there. And then maybe I'll get to release my stuff, or maybe I won't. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's been great. I've been doing it for like 6 months. It's really fun. So I'm hoping it's not gone forever, because it's kind of depressing that it is. So I don't know, because it's fun to like have, I don't know, like to come up with ideas and then fully like be able to like style them, art direct them, film them, like, yeah, it's just like, it's a cool different like thing that I get to do. So yeah, so hopefully we'll see.
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
Who knows?
do you see this as being, you know, another is this going to become a bigger thing, do you think, creating?
No,
A lot of
no.
people are like pulling off Instagram to do like um Patreon, or which I called Patron for a
Well,
few
the
years,
thing with
but
Patreon is like, to my understanding, like with Patreon, like you owe people things, right? So like, say if they give $50 a month, they get this, that, the other. If they give $30 a month, this, that, the other. With OnlyFans, it's like, I just put it out there, and if you want to buy it, you buy it, and if you don't, you don't. So like, I don't like feeling like I have to, I'm not good with rules, and I'm not and I'm not necessarily great with structure. Like
yeah,
you have to understand, like, I didn't go to college, I didn't go to high school, I've never had a real job. So like, I exist in this weird sphere of like, I kind of don't want to do anything I don't want to do, which is a privilege, right? But I'm at this point where it's like, I'm almost 40, and I've been very spoiled. So yeah, so fuck Patreon. I don't want to do Patreon. Sorry, I'm terrible. I'm terrible.
no, I mean it's you know, you've built this life, you've manifested this life that was a life of your desire, you know, and so
I don't
there's
even
no
know if this is the life I desire, but this is the life that I have, you know? So like, I'm rolling with it. Like, I want totally different things, a totally
yeah.
different life than the life that I live, right? But like, it didn't go that way.
Mm.
So I'm always just like, I'm here to make the best of it. And like, I'm definitely somebody who like, you know, has been depressed in my life and all sorts of things. And, you know, people used to always say, well, you just have to choose to be happy. And to me, it was so frustrating, right? Like,
Mhm.
and it's a frustrating thing to say to people who suffer from depression and all that stuff. But there's definitely, when you're on the other side of it, there is like some truth in that, where you do kind of have to, you can embrace that stuff and you can really wallow in it and you can really fixate on it, or you can just kind of keep swimming, you know? And I spent years of my life like not going to auditions, or like just blowing stuff off, because I was just like, I'm just gonna lie in bed and do this thing.
Mm.
And at a certain point, you gotta just get over your own bullshit. And I hate to talk about depression that way, because I know it's very serious. But yeah, like it's a fake it till you make it thing. So a lot of times I'm just faking it, but it works.
I think the hardest part is that when you have mental health issues, you're like not moving. And so there's this stagnation that just creates more of that same stagnation. Whereas, you know, if I wake up in the morning and I exercise and I drink a ton of water and I and I do the things like X, Y, and Z, I'll feel a little bit better the next day and a little bit better the next day. It's like, but creating like a foundation to keep you moving forward is the hardest when you've lost the momentum.
Oh, completely, completely. No, yeah, no, it's very difficult. And like, you know, I am like fundamentally like a nihilist, right? And so, but like there's a freedom in that. And, you know, so you can kind of go through the world as like nothing matters, which is true for me. Or you can be like nothing matters, right? Which is can be very liberating. And you know, I'm a big believer that like this is it, right? You go around once, and so you got to max it out. You got to max it out. You got to have the experiences, and yeah, and go for it. So I'm just here trying to max it out here, Alicyn.
Cheers, mine's all
Cheers.
good. Cheers.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that also I have found works really well for me with dealing with anxiety and different mood is tapping, EFT tapping. Have you ever tried it?
No.
It's emotional freedom technique, and it sounds really silly, but you basically tap on these meridian points while you kind of acknowledge what's wrong. You know, like I'm so exhausted right now. I feel like shit. I don't want to move. I don't want to get up. And you go through a series of like points here and here. And then eventually you start to kind of work in, you acknowledge and give voice to the negative emotions, because that's part of it, right? We can't just brush all that aside. We have to like acknowledge it. And then you start to, but I'm excited about the future. What is positive?
What is this doing though? Like what's the tapping doing?
It breaks up the thought pattern. So the pattern is kind of like this pattern in your head where you're repeating this negative thought.
Distracting?
It kind of breaks up that thought pattern, and it's scientifically proven. And
I'm so into this
body down. I'll send you some stuff. I use an app too. There's an app if you want to be easy and cheaty, because sometimes it's just easier and cheaty.
Alicyn Packard is a counselor.
And so, but so when you're flaring out, right, especially anxiety too, because you're just like, it helps calm your system so that you can make better choices for yourself.
Okay.
So I'm a really big fan of tapping, and I have a lady too that I worked with. If you would like me to give your,
I'm very into this. Like I'm into it all.
I've been wanting to tell you guys as well, Jeffrey and everybody, about tapping, because it really works really well.
EFT tapping?
EFT, emotional freedom technique.
Okay.
Emotionally. Meditation. Sometimes it's hard to just clear your mind.
I need it. Oh my God.
I know we don't have too much time, because I can't believe the time has flown by so much. I want to take a few questions from the audience. But first, you mentioned at the top of the call that you were going to Italy. So I want to hear about your Italy trip.
I'm going through like a separation basically. And I was like, well, so before I was married, I traveled extensively alone. And then I traveled extensively with my husband. And I was like, well, screw it. Like I had booked a trip to Morocco. And then everyone was like, you can't really go to Morocco alone. Like people who really like know, and they were like, you can't go to Morocco alone. So I was like, fine. I've never been to Venice. It's sinking, right? I was just like, well, let's do it. So I'm going to Italy. I'm basically just going to Venice and Verona. And people are like, are you insane? Like you can see Venice in a day. And I'm like, I don't want to see Venice in a day. Like I'm not one of those travelers. And I've been all over the world, but like I sound like a jerk saying that, but I have. I'm not one of those travelers where I'm like, okay, I'm in Italy for 10 days, so I'm gonna go to Rome, Florence, Venice, Sicily, Capri. Like no. Like I like to sit in things. I like to feel like a local. Like I wanna like a restaurant and be able to go back to that restaurant if I like it so
Yeah.
much, you know, like that sort of thing. So yeah, so I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna sit, I'm gonna chill out, and I'm gonna drink some Bellinis in St. Mark's Square and wear my little beret and you know, just
Is
do
this
it.
your
I'm gonna do a
favorite
thing.
love trip?
Yeah, I'm gonna do a thing. So I'm just gonna chill out. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's so amazing because then you can really experience what it's like or get closer to experiencing what it's like to actually live somewhere
Right, exactly.
versus just being a tourist.
Yeah, I don't like that whole like get on the bus, get off the bus thing. That's not my bag. So, you know, I want to soak it in.
I mean, what kind of bus though? There are plenty of buses. I would be like,
Hey,
hey.
hey.
Well, I hope are you going to post a lot of pictures? And that's the other thing.
Because
It's
I'm
so
gonna be
fun.
alone. What else am I gonna do?
When are you going? Next
I'm
week?
going next Friday, yeah.
Good. Friday. But oh God, I'm going to live vicariously through you for
Yeah,
sure.
I will infect your Instagram. You're gonna be
You should just do a con while you're out there.
Oh yeah, oh sure. Well, see, here's the funny thing. Like,
Yeah.
as a voice actor, you can't do cons unless you're in like Australia, New Zealand, or the UK, right? Because they dub your voice.
Oh yeah, right.
So I was lucky a couple years ago, actually this time, 2 years ago, I did 2 cons in Japan, but I did them on Air Force bases. So, which is interesting, right?
That.
Random, right? It was amazing. And so, yeah, I did one in Okinawa and I did one in Tokyo. And they were badass. And it was cool. And they were super big and organized like real cons. But yeah, they were just for military. So that was rad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what about video games? I guess a game.
W2. Depending on the video game. So like a video game I do called Persona 5 that's super popular is actually a Japanese video game, but it's American dubbed and all that. I think it's dubbed in like 5 languages. So it just kind of depends. Like if it's a big video game, don't you think they dub it? Or maybe they subtitle it?
They might dub it, but all the English speaking countries, right? I mean, at least you could do England.
I don't know. I mean, I'll go anywhere. I'll go to Poughkeepsie. I'll go anywhere. I just
let's both manifest some more conventions.
Okay, let's do a con.
You're already killing it, but
I want to do one together.
Yes, we got to do one together.
Right? Right? Let's get weird, Alicyn. Let's get weird. Let's get so weird.
Yes. Okay. That's so great. One more quick question is now actually let's go to the tape. Let's go to the tape. Okay, this is a pretty general question, but what's your favorite part about voice acting?
Ooh, I guess that you can be anybody, right? So like on camera, even though I don't really do on camera acting anymore a little bit, but like you're very stuck in your thing, right? So it's like, well, she doesn't look like this, she doesn't look like that, she's too tall, she's too short, she's too white, she's too black, whatever. But like in voice acting, you can be anybody. So that's kind of the best part. Actually, you know what the best part of voice acting is? Not having to remember lines.
Yes.
That is gone. I used to be able to do that. I smoked too much weed. I've had too much of a good time. I can't remember lines anymore. It's tough. It's tough. More than 2 pages. So I love having all the lines out there. Oh, if you want your Tylee Funko signed, I'm doing a live signing this Saturday through Streamily. So there's a link in my bio. If you want to sign Tylee Pop, I will sign it live for you on Saturday. Anyway, sorry. So,
well, we can share it too, the stories.
it's a shameless plug right there.
That's what you gotta do sometimes.
That's what we do.
So shows a shameless plug.
Yeah. Well, there's no residuals anymore, guys. So we're all just trying to make some money. You help support us as artists, honestly. Like when you subscribe to OnlyFans, when you come to a convention and buy something, like we're, not to sound whatever, but like none of us make the money that we used to make because everything's streaming and we don't have a lot of, back end from stuff that streams. And so you help support us as artists and we get to live our artistic life. And so thank you for that. It's very helpful to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, I'm just gonna be honest.
Let's see. If Tylee was a part of what Avatar Studios was whipping up, would you voice her again?
Of course. Because I can still do the voice and your aura is very pink. And also, yes,
oh my
because
God.
Avatar's awesome and I love working. So both of those things. And I just like being part of that world. And especially if I got to work with all my friends again, because we're all friends and it's a fun bunch. It's a fun crew.
Oh, yeah. Are there any deleted or cut scenes from Hey Arnold that you remember doing but not airing?
No, someone was asking about that the other day, and like they really keep that pretty tight. I remember the Jungle movie had a totally different ending, or like had some different stuff, but I can't remember what it was. But like for the most part, like they don't, because they're only, I think Hey Arnold, those were all like 12 minutes, 11 minutes. Like they've got those like down to a T. Like there's not excess. Like when you do TV, they cut stuff out all the time.
Yeah.
I did an episode of Gilmore Girls that I wasn't even in. They totally cut me out. But whatever, that's a whole other story. But yeah, for the most part, like animation's pretty, like they're on it,
Yeah. Yeah, they're not going to animate a bunch of stuff that they're later going to cut out.
No, not at all.
Loved you as Rhonda on
Thank you.
Hey Arnold. Did you relate to any of the characters on the show?
On Hey Arnold? Yeah, I mean, when I was that age, and still, I mean, I was never a terrible human being like Rhonda is. But I definitely liked clothes and fashion, and so, Rhonda was very, I would never wear those shoes, and that sort of thing. But no, I mean, Arnold's just such a good kid. Yeah, that whole show is cool because there's somebody for everybody. Helga's neat because she's kind of, she likes somebody, but she's so mean to him. And sometimes we all do that a little bit. But you can't show all your cards. But no, I think there's a little bit of all those characters in everybody. It's just such a fleshed out show. I don't know.
We didn't even get a chance really to talk about Brady Bunch, which I just recently discovered that was even you, Cindy Brady.
My favorite thing I ever did.
Really?
1,000%. Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, because first off, it was like everybody's first, besides like Shelley Long, like everybody's first movie, really. And so, you're all just jazzed, right? You're like, I'm in a Hollywood picture, right? And then they sent us, when we all booked it, which was an extensive casting process, Paramount sent us like stacks and stacks of VHS tapes of all the shows to study and whatever. And so we were so ingrained in that. And then we had like weeks of rehearsal, which you never have on films. But so the first time we walked onto that set, having watched that show over and over, and the set was, perfect. It was such a trip, right? You're like, oh my God, I'm here. I'm like, I've been watching this thing and now I'm here. And then to sing and to dance and, they flew us all to Europe, like first class on this big promotional tour. And like, it was like, it's a very like singular experience that only those people really know how it was. Brady Bunch was the jam. And we made 2 of them,
Yeah. How old were you when you first started that?
I was 11 when I did the first one and 12 when I did the second one. And I can't dance at all. If you watch that movie, I'm like so cut out of those dance sequences. I have zero, anyone who knows this about me, zero rhythm, not at all. And I'm so like, and even we all just did a big like Vice, an interview for Vice for the anniversary or something. And one of the actors, I think it was Jan, was like, Yeah, that poor Olivia Hack, she can't dance at all. And it was really unfair to her because she was like a baby. And I'm like, there's 11-year-olds who can dance. Like, I just have no but everyone knew it was terrible. But yeah, just so fun. Just really fun. And the costumes and all that stuff.
Yeah, and I heard you took like an hour and a half to get into makeup.
Well, for me, like they would braid all my hair and then they would like paint my scalp so that it's not like I had dark hair, but they like
Yeah.
didn't want my roots to show through or something through this wig. I don't know if it was an hour and a half, but it was hot as hell
Oh,
because
wow.
it was in the valley. We shot in Encino and it was like 110 that summer and we're all in polyester, right? With a wig. And poor Peter got like kidney stones from being so dehydrated.
Oh
Oh
no.
yeah. Oh, it was hot. It was a very hot shoot.
Kidney stone.
But great. We had the best time.
Oh my
No,
God.
they weren't like USO shows. They were like strictly conventions. Sorry. I'm like every once in a while I catch a question.
And so then I heard you spent a lot of time trying to work on the lisp to master Cindy's lisp. Can you still do it?
Of course I can do it. It's very easy to lisp. You know, you just put your S's where your TH's are. It's not hard at all.
However, it's so funny because as a kid, you know, people meet you and interviewers and just regular people, whatever, and they're like, you don't have a lisp in real life. And you're like, no, I'm an actor. And like, and sometimes this is the case, but like, there's this disconnect with people with kids where like kids aren't really actors, like they can't act, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But you can. The good ones can anyway. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I in a way, like maybe because of Brady Bunch, like I started out as a voice actor, you know, in some ways.
Yeah.
So there is that too, for sure.
Yeah. Oh my God. I just want to hear you do that all day. That was amazing. It was so good. Wow. Oh, well, I don't want to keep you. I know we said we were going to go for an hour. So one more question. Has the English version of Burn the Witch dropped yet? And what's it about? I'm not sure if that question makes sense to you.
It has dropped. It is on HBO Max. It's on Crunchyroll. It's an anime.
Okay.
And hopefully we will do more. I know it was a film in Japan and then they cut it up into like 3 long episodes here. But hopefully they will do more. It's my first lead role in an anime. Yes.
Who's your character?
Her name is like Ninny Spankle, I think.
Ninny Spank. Wow, that sounds
Spankle, but they fight dragons in London. I don't know. And then some people on the internet like. So when I did an anime, someone I know who does anime was like, anime fans are vicious, get ready. And I was like, all right. Like, it was fine. Everyone's been nice to me. But somebody was complaining that it takes place in London and we don't do British accents. And I was like, I can do a British accent. And nobody asked me to do one. So don't blame me. I just work here.
Devin has a question. Do you have any advice? Devin would like to cosplay, but is very self-conscious from being bullied. Do you have any wisdom on that?
Evan, the best thing about cosplay is how much love you're going to get. Don't be self-conscious. In the cosplay community, in the cosplay world, and in the con world, it's very embracing. And you don't have to make your own costume. A lot of cosplayers do, but a lot of cosplayers don't. And you won't be judged for that or anything. It's all about going there with a happy spirit. So if you go and you show up in your cosplay and it's your favorite character, that will come through. And people will ask to take pictures with you or whatever, and you'll just feel good. Like, and I promise you at some point, no matter what you cosplay, someone will see you at a con and be like, nice cosplay. And being at a convention is your chance to not get bullied and to feel that love and feel the most like yourself and celebrate things that you love. And everyone's there to celebrate their weird little corner of the world where they feel good. And so don't be afraid, feel excited. And I think sometimes when we feel nervous, it's important to take the word nervous out of it and replace it with the word excited. So sometimes, you know, so just feel excited about cosplaying. Don't be nervous, feel excited. It's a whole new world for you. And I promise once you start and once you go to your first con, you'll have a new addiction and you'll want to go all the time.
And we want to see pics, guys.
Yes.
Oh, Olivia, it's been so great chatting with you.
Great chatting with you. Thank you for having me. This has
Thanks
been a
for
lot of fun.
on. And guys, make sure that you check out Olivia's signing on Saturday. It's going to be on Streamily.
It's on Streamily, and there's a link in my bio.
And hopefully, if her OnlyFans, when that gets reactivated,
maybe it'll be there, maybe it won't be. We don't know.
But thank you guys so much. It's been so lovely. And yeah, we'll tune in next week. We have voice actress Caitlin Robrock, who is the voice of Minnie Mouse.
Oh, that's very exciting.
So yeah, so we'll chat with her. So thank you guys. I appreciate you tuning in live, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.